pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Susan. Em.
Here.
Linda.
Here.
David.
Yeah.
Shelby, yes. Approved, that's the agenda approval. I need to change something. I need to take A and move it to the end for closed session, because I don't know how long it's gonna take. And also, I'd like to take off the F&V engineering services and move that to the next board meeting, please. And that's it. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the changes that have been made to the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to open up public comment at 12:01.
Okay, so I want to first apologize to the board for last week for my comments that I made. I shouldn't have probably come to the meeting. I just had surgery on Wednesday, and I let my anger, my frustration on some things get the best of me, so I wanted to apologize to the whole board. But then I also wanted to apologize specifically to you, Susan, because I gave you some direct comments, and again, I apologize. Shouldn't have said what I said. I let my emotions get the best of me, and that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Are there chairs up there?
Just hit. I don't know if there's any other chair. Go ahead, Len.
Okay, I didn't buy a home in the country to have a 30-acre illegal storage put behind my house. My home value and neighbors will drop dramatically because of the illegal businesses. Why would you negotiate with somebody since he committed tax fraud by hiding all the illegal buildings? He stole tax money from the township, county, state, for years not paying correct state equalized value on his property. The storage has did nothing for 3 years to negate the flooding that he has caused, nor did he put up a non-pierce fence to block the blight at all his illegal businesses. Mitchell Storage did not even follow the cease and desist court order. He kept working illegally per court documents. Not only has Mitchell Storage stolen tax money from the township, he hasn't even had to pay a fine for all the laws he broke. And he still denies he hasn't did anything wrong. If you set a precedent of not fixing Mitchell Storage illegal building, people like K&B Landscaping and the guy that you run out of the business there in Willis, the storage unit, why would you do that to them and not to him? Those people did this less damage than at Mitchell Storage, so why would you run them both out of business? No, there's more.
Okay.
Why isn't the planning commission involved in this process, since they're the ones that are the professionals in planning? Even the township planner that you pay for professional planning advice has stated that this whole Mitchell's PUD has been a huge debacle from the start. Mitchell Storage has had 3 years to make this right, and he has did nothing but break the law and keep this in court at the expense of the township. And this is all from your city planner. Based on the information provided, we both find the existing and proposed expansion of the PUD are not consistent with the master plan, nor do they provide a recognizable community benefit. That is right from the Planning Commission and Carlisle Wortman. Provide additional measures to reduce the impact and ensure the impacts surrounding the residential parties mitigated. That never happened. They wanted all the parcels required as a condition of the PUD plan approvals per CWA comments. As noted, the open space portion of this report, the applicant has not demonstrated how the open space requirements of section 12.23 have been met. Economic impact. In relation to the existing zoning, the proposed development shall not result in a material negative economic impact of surrounding properties determined by the Planning Commission and CWA. The self-storage use would not be allowed as a permitted or special land use in the existing AR zoning. 1993 for the original PUD zoning, however, as outlined in this report, the original PUD rezoning was an attempt to rectify years of non-compliance, legal non-conformity. and after approval remained on an ongoing compliance issue under the approved PUD permit, and later in 2006 and 7, through the further expansion of the use without proper approvals, CWA comments. As noted in the master plan section of this report, we noticed proposed development is not compatible with the Augusta Township master plan or the map usage.
Rodney, I gotta stop you.
Okay, you cut me off,
Okay.
if that's 3 minutes, I'm good.
Okay, you got your 3. Anybody else?
Yes, I'm addressing the gun range.
Okay,
First, if there are any veterans here, I'd like to recognize you and thank you for your service. So some of the questions I have, I know that I've asked before. First and foremost is, how did Mylan build a gun range in a GI zoned area that's in the township? That's the first and foremost question in my mind. If that question could be answered, and it's, nothing else really matters, but at this point, that's the biggest thing. The noise, that we hear is consistent. Last Thursday, the day of the meeting, they shot from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. There were lights on when I pulled into my driveway that night from the shooting. So there are days that they shoot all day long, and not all days do they shoot. They are now shooting at the prison and also behind us. We talked to a City of Milan former board member, and he pretty much said that the range was not supposed to be that close to us, that the range was supposed to be further north and more east, and that they had a lot of talk about noise, and because they were concerned about the people there, the board members, and they said, oh, don't worry about it, we'll have lots of trees. They talked about the sound absorbing trees that they were gonna put up, and berms. And now the police chief is telling us there's no room for trees, they can't build the walls higher, that, they pretty much said there's really nothing they can do. So that's a huge concern, that they would build a range first, and then just give us all the middle finger over the sound protection that they had promised their board members would be there. The third problem, which is becoming more concerning to me, is the problem of lead. As I've been looking up information, there are tons of studies that suggest that outdoor shooting ranges are actually more hazardous to the health than an indoor. Indoors can be cleaned, they can be monitored better. If you have an outdoor range, especially if it's got a soil base, and the lead can absorb into the soil, the lead can be dispersed through the air. There is a farmer that farms in between us. All of our neighbors have well water. So that's a huge concern for me at this time. I think I had another point. And then I also talked to somebody from the national parks. Her name is Diane. She told me that because the police chief threw out that, oh, we got okay from the national parks. She said she was pretty much forced into it, that she had no choice but to okay it because it was the FBI and national security. If you look up anything, the FBI has only funded it. They are not running it, they are not controlling it, they do not own it. Everybody that shoots there has to pay to use it, so everybody else should be looked at in the same way as the FBI in this instant. They should not, because they throw out the FBI, that shouldn't mean anything other than, Dundee police using it. They've used that as a shield to say that nothing can be done. And in fact, I truly don't believe that. She apologized many times. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And she also said, because I asked her for the paperwork that they presented to her. And she said, well, I'll see what I can find and I'll send it to you. And she even texted me back and asked me for my email, and to this day I have not received anything. So I'm not sure if it's just, she was intimidated, she said she was doing the job when it happened, or if in fact they were able to show her documentation.
okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Yes,
sir.
on Mitchell Storage, I guess I couldn't give anybody a copy of what the paper is or whatever, it's confidential. Now, what I wanna know is, they've got a date for him to have this started, and a date to have it finished by as far as the water situation.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Back, go ahead.
I'm here for the gun range and we live directly behind it. I'd just like to say, I don't know if anybody's ever been out there to listen to this, but we can't even go out in our yards anymore and have a conversation when it's going on. It's so loud. And it's not just guns. There's times when the ground shakes. They're doing more than just, guns out there. I don't know what it is, some type of explosive. But the sound is just unreal some days.
Anybody else?
I'm reading Eileen's mind because I think, and if I'm wrong, just stop me. I think what we'd like you to do as a board is take this to the next step, whether it's issuing a ticket, whether it's a cease and desist, doing something that, because we know now we have all of this history and months of us all looking into it, that they are in the wrong, and they've blown by the date of Vic's letter, where they canceled the meeting in November 5th, which they knew that they weren't gonna have, but they said, oh, this is when we'll talk about it. They're treating Augusta like the gum on the bottom of their shoes, and I would really appreciate for the residents that are mostly affected to take this to the next step and pursue whatever course of action is most appropriate. Thank
Okay.
you.
I see okay, nobody else? All right, I don't see anybody else. I'm closing public comment then at 12:11. And any board response?
Yeah, I guess, because we're worried about lead and stuff like that, have you contacted the EPA to see if there's anything?
I have not, I just ran across this probably like last week, 2 weeks ago, as I was doing some more searching, on outdoor ranges, and I came across it. That would be my next step, probably because of, the concern for
I
it.
think it's something as a township we could be checking into as well, because if it is our township and it is a concern, I think that's something we should be checking into.
One of these studies that I have here, it says that according to the Department of the Interior's Geological Survey, an individual range can go through 1.5 to 20 tons of lead shot and bullets annually. Outdoor ranges as a whole may use more than 80,000 tons in the same time frame, but it also said that 86% of those that are checked fail. They fail the lead test, which is huge. I mean, the lead violation. I mean, that's
How far of a range does it go? Like,
for in the testing. Is that what you're asking? Or
well, I'm just thinking like if they're using it, the gun range is here, how far out is that gonna go? Because it's in the surrounding area or
How
even
about
in the ground.
contamination, how far the contamination
Yeah.
will go out.
If it gets into the groundwater, it's probably endless.
Did they ever get building permits for any of
Wait,
that?
we can't, this can't go on. This is board response now, I'm sorry.
I didn't see it, at the stuff I looked at, I didn't see any kind of a range as far as, like the dangerous range.
right. And to your question, like I said, I just started looking into it. I found a couple articles. I read a few. I didn't print those off or look at the detailed analysis from them. But what I saw was concerning enough to me to want to bring that to the forefront.
Certainly.
Any other board response?
I guess response. First of all, I feel that somehow through the loops you guys have been, we failed you, and I apologize for that. And I ask the new board coming aboard to please pursue this as much as you can, because these people have to live by this. And I know Linda, she'll stay on it, and that's about all I have to say. This was brought to me a few years ago. I brought it out, and well, you know the rest of the story. So, but for the new board, please try to pursue this.
Okay, no more board response.
Well, I just
Oh,
wanna
go
say
ahead.
I really appreciate all the diligent homework you've done, and you've really convinced us that there has been a lot that wasn't addressed, and I am just kind of flabbergasted that it seems like a lot of information was given to Mylan's board, and somehow, some way, they just ignored it, and what kills me is that they had an initial attempt to put it in a certain spot and why it was moved. Like, who was calling the shots on that? I don't get it.
Our planner, or
Well,
their
that's
planner.
That's another question I have. Are you going
Yeah.
to the meeting in Milan at the, when is it?
Yes, I was actually gonna go to this last meeting, I had planned to go, and obviously they canceled it, I will go to the next one.
Do you know what the date is for?
Right.
They have them every 2 weeks.
It's the 19th.
Can I add to that? I did take it to the planner and I asked the planner and she said they knew nothing of this.
And we had a meeting with John Enos, Susan and I, and who else was there, Susan? Vic was there? Right, Vic was there. And they did know something about it. Just
Well, I'm
nobody
just
told
going by
us.
what Laura told me at the last planning commission. She says she knew nothing of this.
Well, we were all there,
Well,
4 of us
anyway.
were there. Anyways, moving on.
I appreciate all the homework you did, it's been excellent, and definitely will fuel us going forward.
I'm floored that they just say they can't even have the money to build a wall. I mean, they can have the money to build this whole entire thing, but they don't have the money to build a wall. It's just
Well, this should be inside.
floors me.
They
This-
said
this
there's
should
not
be
enough
inside.
space between the
Well, then that should have
perimeter.
been planned to begin with.
And
It was
also-
poor planning to begin with.
Also, the lady from the national parks was told that it was going to be a state-of-the-art indoor training facility. And, she asked me about the building that's there, and I said, there's no building, and, I mean, she seems as shocked and as upset that she okayed something that, she was not given the honest facts about also, and pretty much she felt pushed into a corner. But she was also told, that it was mostly indoor training, and, that's what it would be.
Right.
That's why she allowed it, she said.
Okay, thank you. All right, I close, public comment. I close public comment then at 12:17.
Board response.
Yeah, board response. Moving on to township business. Discuss and vote on DT proposed, street light on Bemis near Child's Elementary School. There's a quote of $2,819.63. Brenda Stumbo, she contacted me sometime about this, and about that area being so dark, and all of us that are in that area know how dark it is down there. So we voted for the flashing light, but you still need something so people that cross can see where they're going. The red light's not gonna be enough. So it went down from 6 lights to 4 lights, now it's down to 1 light in each side. DT went out there and reevaluated it, said that should be enough. I had contacted Justin Hodge some time ago about trying to get some money for this, and he came through. So this light is not costing us anything at all. We will be responsible though for the annual operating cost.
Monthly.
Monthly, okay. Well, it says annual here.
Well, that's what it is annually, but we're billed monthly for
Okay.
the overhead.
Okay, and so that's our end of it.
How much?
377, all right,
Oh, $377.
Yeah. yeah. So it's, it's all about safety because that area, it's starting to really grow. And once they finish paving Bemis from Hitchingham West, it's gonna be quite a bit of traffic. It's gonna
It's
increase.
$377 a month for one
No,
light?
That
that's
doesn't-
annual.
Yeah, that's what I
The
said.
annual
annual.
operating
That's what
cost
he's saying, it's,
for
so
the
a
whole-
year.
For the whole year, but we get billed every month.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill, okay.
Yeah, I got a
So
little
it's
freak
like
there, didn't
I,
you?
well, I was
Something
confused
off
by
the top of my
annual
head.
payment
Yeah.
off and.
Yeah, a little
I was
stiff,
say, there's no
$35
way we're
roughly.
paying $377 a month for
Yeah.
one light.
right. yeah.
Maintenance fees.
I'm
Yeah,
all for
alright.
the safety of the children, but as the residents, cause there's houses right there.
Doesn't
they-
affect them at all.
It's not.
Nope, doesn't affect them at all.
So I asked Brian to reach out to Brenda to have her let us know what she had done to inform the residents. And what was on my mind, I understand the homeowners are all in Ipsy. the light on our side, you know, the school is there, so there's none of our
Here's the map.
residents that live by this light, so there's
We
that.
got nothing.
But I thought in light of, it was on my mind about the gun range and being good neighbors to adjoining, townships, that we could feel okay because even though the homes are in Ypsilanti, it's our light there. So, and what he had told me is that she was asked by residents to
Yeah,
have that
ask for
light?
residents for the lights, right.
Okay,
And I sent you the email I sent her, she didn't respond back.
so she did not respond to
Yeah.
us. We did ask for that information and she did not give it to us. So
Yeah.
we tried to ask her for it, but I guess the reassurance to me is that it went down to one light and they aren't the homeowners in Augusta, but still, I mean, if it's there and bothering, they will call us,
I
right?
would
If
love
it-
to have a light that would.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't look like it's right at the crossing, cause that was a concern of mine too, like why are we putting another light in the same
Right,
place?
so the
We
light's
just
gonna be right
approved
there.
the flashing
And there's
light,
nothing
and
there.
it looks like it's down a little
Yeah.
ways.
Right,
Right.
and if you go by
And
the
these people
school is
wanted
lit
it.
up, yeah. So there are lights in the school parking lot too,
Parking
right
lot's
now,
lit up.
so, yeah,
Right,
okay.
alright, so that's what I got.
For the
So,
safety of the children, but still,
I would like to make a,
they'll not
we got-
relook
I
at it.
know.
okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve DT proposed street light beams near Childs Elementary. One street light not to exceed $2,819.63. Can I get a second?
Well, wait a minute,
Wait,
Sorry.
Plus the annual cost.
so,
And cost, sorry.
so is Justin gonna reimburse us?
No, we send them the bill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
he's,
I was gonna say,
alright, so we can put
Yeah.
that in the motion, we'll just
Yeah.
add to
Yeah.
the motion,
Right.
$2,819.63 to be reimbursed by county commissioner. Or by the county,
By the county.
reimbursed by county. And we will have the cost of the monthly,
Right,
incur the cost of the monthly payment.
right.
Okay, did he get a second?
No, I didn't get a second. Who seconded
I'll
it?
second it.
Second, okay.
Yeah, you can go.
Okay, Susan,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Linda,
yes.
Shelby, yes, David?
Yeah.
Great, thank you all very much. Moving on, discuss vote on Foster Swift. Dick?
As you are aware, there is this appeal of an administrative order from the Michigan Public Service Commission that Foster Swift and many municipalities have now joined to challenge, basically. And the challenge is related to what they believe is the order being overly broad and taking away more of the responsibilities, the rights of local communities to regulate these uses, basically. I mean, the statute in and of itself does quite a bit of that anyway, but they're saying that this order is overbroad and it needs to be challenged to bring it back and to be consistent with what the statute provides. So, you know, again, the last count that I have heard is that there are 50+ communities that have joined this lawsuit. It is an appeal, which means it will be going directly to the Court of Appeals. There's not going to be a trial of the issues. It's mostly just a legal issue that will be decided by the Court of Appeals based upon briefs. With 50 communities being involved, the idea is, of course, that each of the communities will be billed monthly based upon the services that are provided in proportion to the number of municipalities that are there or that are joined in the lawsuit. The question that's really before the board is that does the board want to be a part of that lawsuit and have its name in that lawsuit as one of the communities that oppose or that oppose the Michigan Public Service Commission order and think it needs to be reversed or revised. The cost, I mean, you know, I've had this conversation with Brian, but you know, with 50 communities, the cost, it's an appeal. I mean, if I were doing the the appeal myself, it would probably be under $20,000, okay? But they're charging a lot more money than I typically would charge, but even with the price that they're charging, you know, I can't imagine this is going to be $100,000 for the appeal. There's the appeal, and then there is potentially action after the appeal, but right now, what's being requested of the municipalities is only to sign up for the appeal. If there's anything after that, they would come back to the communities and ask the communities if they wanna continue to support whatever additional litigation might be necessary related to it. So, again, you know, with 50 communities, less than $100,000, you know, you're talking maybe a couple $1,000s if you get up, if the fees get up to $100,000. So I think it's a good bet if you wanna support it, and that's really the question. I mean, does the board, does the community wanna support pushback from the state and the state administrative body, the Michigan Public Service Commission, related to this issue? That's really the issue.
Okay. All right.
Well,
Anybody
and I
have any
do agree
discussion?
that, you know, they shouldn't have control over what goes in our township. It should still be in our,
Hands.
yes, the board and the planning commission.
Well, and until Public Act 233, it was totally within the township's purview under zoning ordinance to deal with these things. The Public Act 233 eviscerated the township's zoning authority to a great extent related to those uses, you know. So, yeah, in a perfect world, I don't disagree, you know,
Yeah.
from a municipal attorney's perspective. I mean, you know, local control is much better than state control, generally, okay, because we know better what's good for our communities and, you know, what's best. So, I mean, that's the general, that has been the general MO for the region for local communities. It's local control, basically, so.
So, we had a deadline, and what we had talked about was submitting signing our name and submitting it, and then we're approving this after the fact. So if we approve this today, we are still included.
Yes.
In the litigation.
I've already
Okay.
made that arrangement with them.
Okay,
so.
well, I just wanted to let people know because maybe worried about the deadline passing. The other concern I had was it's just a money thing. I mean, I thought maybe of going down to $5,000, but because of so many municipalities joining in, and then if this is going forward, so the new board could vote on if they wanted to put in more money, but from what I understand is if we lower that amount today, we can't,
Well,
it's,
we can't, we can't.
it ruins the timing, or like, we
Yeah,
have to do
right.
this right now,
We
so.
can't just lower,
Okay.
that's a conversation that has to be had with them. I mean, they sent out an engagement letter. We basically have accepted that engagement letter. At this point, we need to get the board's approval for that.
Okay.
But to go back now would be, you know, again, it's always possible to have that conversation. If the board wants to have that conversation with Foster's Brook, I'll be happy to do it. But, again, you know, the chances of this being in excess of $5,000, okay, that's $250,000, assuming there's 50 communities that are.
Right,
that
well, we're assuming that it's probably gonna end up to be a few thousand, which is
Yeah.
fine, but what I'm saying is we're doing a big commitment, right, on this board split here of money that's gonna be going forward into the new board, so, that's all.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I had second thoughts about it after I thought, you know, maybe we should've went low end, because you could always add more money if the board wanted to go forward,
It's a
but,
commitment to a maximum
Yeah.
of $10,000, okay? I don't think anybody at this point expects that it's gonna be anything close to $10,000.
okay, well,
That's my expectation.
right,
That's
well,
I
that's
believe.
what we're assuming,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion.
So, whatever, I just,
I'd like to make a motion to authorize Foster Swift Law Firm to file an appeal or other appropriate legal action to challenge MPSC October 10, 2024, order concerning PA 233 by signing engagement letter not to exceed $10,000.
I'll second.
Okay. Susan,
yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
David,
Yep.
Shelby, yes. Thank you. Moving on. We're at discussing the gun range. All right, Vic, what do we have so far?
Okay, so where we are is, of course, as I've said before, I mean, from my perspective, my belief, my opinion is that they did step all over the township. I mean, they were required to come to the township and request a permit for that use, okay? And frankly, under the terms of the zoning ordinance as it exists today, you know, that property is not even properly zoned for that use. I mean, frankly, if they had come to the township, what the approach would have or should have been is that they should have asked to rezone the property so that that use could be incorporated onto the property. I mean, they have to get the property rezoned in order to get it there. So, I mean, they didn't do that, they didn't come to the township. I know there's some discussion about the planners' involvement in this. The planners were aware of it, at least John Enos was aware of it, just because there was a communication between the chief of police over there and John Enos related to the proposed use. And the communication, as I understand it, was simply that you know, John believed that that might be a good use for the property, but then it's also my understanding, from the conversation with John, the meeting that we had, that, you know, they didn't participate in that the city actually did that on their own without the assistance of the planners. Of course, the planners happen to be the same for Milan and Augusta Township, which is, again, a little troublesome, but be that as it may, I mean, the city should have known better, in my opinion. I know that there are some, the federal government itself does have some, they don't have to require it as much as everybody else does with respect to zoning, but they still have to come to the township, to the municipality that controls, has control over the property to do that. To the best of my knowledge, nobody ever contacted the township, either from the federal government or the city of Milan. A mistake, okay, in my opinion. You know, it's, we've had a conversation, an initial conversation with them to try to get them to the table to talk about this. I mean, I think our initial approach was that, you know, we want to deal with the sound issue as much or more than anything else, and that was the general approach that we were going to take initially, was to try to deal with the sound issue. I have contacted a sound engineer because in order to deal with the sound issue, you have to have somebody out there that can measure that sound and be able to testify with respect to what those measurements are, to show that they are beyond what's allowed for under the terms of the ordinance. That person is ready and willing to participate in this. We would have to hire him. From my conversation with him, he's very reasonable. He's a police officer from, I think,